Hello, welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Marketing Research MKTG 457. This is chapter 3. In chapter 3, let's talk about the marketing research process, the entire process, marketing research. Okay. After studying this chapter, you should be able to apply marketing research in marketing, in making better marketing decisions. Okay. You'll be able to tell among exploratory research, descriptive research, and causal research. Okay, and also the steps in marketing research. Yeah, understanding the concept of theory and hypothesis testing. I know the difference between project and the research program. Okay. First, let's talk about the decision-making situations in business. Yeah. Do you think that all the managers will make their business decisions, marketing decisions with complete certainty, knowing exactly what's going to happen after the decision is made and implemented? Of course not. Okay? And we cannot. This is a social, in a society, in a natural setting. You're dealing with human beings. Lots of people. Right? And there's so many things that could change or could affect your decisions. So it's not that you can know for sure what's going to happen. And that's why also why command economy, like a central planning in socialist countries like China and Russia and US, Soviet Union before, are doomed to fail because they think they're smart, they can make decisions on all things on the economy. That's not going to happen, right? So we have a lot of decision uncertainties and ambiguities in the decision making. So now, what is certainty then, and what is ambiguity? Certainty is a decision maker has all the information needed to make an optimal decision. You see that's why that's impossible. And if you have all the information, I mean all the information, and you can make an optimal decision, that's that you can have certainty. Obviously, it's not likely to happen, or it's impossible to happen. Uncertainty is a situation where the manager grasps the general nature of desired objectives, but the information about alternative is incomplete. Okay, that's uncertainty. And ambiguity is a situation where the nature of the problem itself is unclear, such that objectives are vague and decision alternatives are difficult to define. So, so the nature problem is unclear. So, and that objectives and vague, such that objectives are vague and decision alternatives are difficult to define. That's ambiguity. What do you think is most common in business world today? Is certainty, uncertainty, or ambiguity? We know for sure that it's not certainty, right? It's probably ambiguity at most, the most cases, and mostly uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty, different level of uncertainty. So if you put this uncertainty on this certainty and ambiguity on this chart here, you can see that towards this end you have complete certainty. Towards this end you have complete ambiguity, and in the middle you have uncertainty. Right? But uncertainty does not necessarily mean bad things. You could produce opportunities, okay? And then, or you could produce problems. Okay? In a situation where there is a great opportunity, but there is also complete ambiguity, right? But there's opportunity. We call that discovery orientation. That's the trend seems evident, but do not point clearly to a single best opportunity. Okay. In a situation where you have opportunity, and also you have complete certainty, we call it confirmatory orientation. That's where trends are obviously pointing to a single best opportunity, but that's probably going to happen very often. Okay? What about when you have complete certainty, but there is seems to be a problem? Not the opportunity, but the problem. There are, you will see probably many noticeable symptoms pointing to a single problem. Okay? Or if you have a complete ambiguity, you may see that the symptoms exist but are subtle and few, making the problem identification difficult. Okay, that's why it's ambiguous. Okay? That is the decision-making situations that we commonly face. Okay? Now let's talk about the type of marketing research you can conduct or we can conduct. Right? There are altogether three types of marketing research: exploratory, descriptive, and causal. Okay? Exploratory, descriptive, and causal. In this class, for your group project, I need you to attempt at least the first two: exploratory and descriptive. You can do this and you will do it. Okay? And also I want you or I encourage you to attempt the third one, causal research, you know, through maybe analysis tools such as regression, etc. Right? We'll talk about those as we go. Okay, so keep in mind this is going to be in your test. It's the types of research: exploratory, descriptive, and causal, and think about how to do that for your project. Okay, let's look at exploratory research. The purpose of exploratory research is to clarify ambiguous situations. We have ambiguity, right? We want to clarify that, find out, what's the true picture, true nature of the things, right? We want to discover ideas that may be potential business opportunities. Okay? We find problems, right? But it could be leading to opportunities. Right? And exploratory research is the initial research that clarifies and defines the nature of a problem. You want to clarify and you want to define. Right? It does not provide conclusive evidence. It does not provide conclusive evidence. Right? And assumes and expects subsequent research. Right? Subsequent research is needed. And there's also exploratory research is the innovation and exploratory research is useful in product development, okay? And exploratory research can help with problem solving by helping to identify symptoms, okay? That's the first one. Second one is descriptive research that describes the characteristic of an objects, people, group, organization, or environments. Remember, it's not just the objects. It could be people, it could be groups, organizations, or the whole environment that we are doing research on. Okay, that is descriptive research. Basically, descriptive research addresses issues such as questions such as who is doing what, and when are they doing that? Where do they do it? Why did they do it? And how did they do it? That type of question. So who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay? Accuracy in this case is critically important because we want to know exactly who is doing that. What did they do? When did they do it? Why did they do it? Okay? Also, descriptive research involves considerable understanding of the nature of the problem. Remember, to understand the nature of the problem, you can do exploratory research, right? Now you know something about it, you want to define it, quantify it. Excuse me. Okay. And descriptive research, keep in mind though, does not provide direct evidence of causality. Just because the two things are happening together doesn't mean that one is cause of another. So you cannot establish causality through descriptive research. Excuse me. You need to do more about that. And you can use descriptive research as diagnostic analysis, diagnostic tool, right? You can seek to diagnose reasons. Sorry about that. You can seek to just diagnose reasons for market outcomes. Okay, you can focus specifically on the beliefs and feelings consumers have about and towards competing products. Okay? I'm taking example here on descriptive research, right? On organic food sales. Organic food sales. Let's see, the annual global organic food sales in the US is $80 billion. This number may be a little outdated. We'll see. Okay? So what kind of things are included here? Fruits and vegetables, yes, that we call the fresh produce, fruits and vegetables account for 40% of those sales in organic food sales. Okay? Organic meat, poultry, and fish sales are increasing rapidly. Organic coffee and tea account for 35% of global organic beverage market. Oh, I'm sorry, this is actually a global number, not the US number. Okay? That's descriptive research. It describes the organic food sales market potential, and what's in there. Okay? The third one, or the most difficult one, is causal research. Causal research allows causal inferences to be made. They identify cause and effect. When we say X brought about Y relationship, X is causing Y to take place. What one causes another to take place. That's called causal research. But there are three pieces of critical pieces of causality. In order to truly establish causality, you must satisfy all three conditions here. The first one is temporal sequence. That is the appropriate causal order of events. If you say something A causes B to happen, A, in our sense of time, A must take place first, or take place before B happens. If B happens before A, you cannot say A causes B, right? Guess that. So there has to be a temporal sequence available there. Okay? And second, there has to be a concomitant variations. In other words, two phenomena vary together. Right? If A causes B to take place, right? If A changes, B must changes. If B changes, A changes as well. And the two must, vary, change together. We call it concomitant variation. And third one is third factor is called non-spurious association, or absence of alternative plausible explanation. You will say A causes B to happen, there must be no, must be no presence of other reasons for B to take place. If they are, say, like for example, C or D or E that also causes B to take place, you cannot say A causes it, right? So in other words, there's no spurious associations or absence of all other explanations. Now you can see this is the most difficult one, right? In natural science, in social science, in real world, in criminal justice, in many things, you just have to prove that, and that's difficult. Okay? If you see someone murders someone else, you must prove that there's no other murderers out there. Okay, basically. Okay. Let me take an example here. Give an example here. see, that's why you cannot, you must be careful in concluding causality and not just looking at things that are happening concurrently to make it easy or, easy judgment. Okay? Let's see in summertime, okay, in summertime, right? And is ice cream as a reason for drowning? Someone, say for example, someone look at the sometime ice cream consumption number, and also some drowning number. People got drowned, in water in summertime. Right? They say, oh, look at that. There's a increase in ice cream consumption in summer. There's also increase in the number of people drowning in summertime. Therefore, I can conclude that ice cream is causing drowning to take place. Can you see that? Can you see that? Can you conclude that? Okay. If you're looking at the first two, you probably can find a lot of information about ice cream consumptions. Right? People ate ice creams and then they get drowned. Okay. And then, of course, we know that's not true because there are alternative explanations that you have not excluded. Okay? Of course, we know for sure that summertime is because people are more likely go into like a seaside or go to the pool or get play in the water and get more chance to be in water to be drowned. Therefore, there is an increase in drowning. Okay? And also there happen to be an increase in summer in ice cream in summer because it's hot. Right? So the fact that the summertime here is actually causing the ice cream consumption to go up, is also causing the drowning to go up. So, but you cannot draw a conclusion that ice cream is causing people to get drowned, right? To be killed in water. Okay? So there's another alternative alternative cause that you have not identified. And I'll give you an example here. Okay? Also, there are different degrees of causality. We call it absolute, conditional, and contributory. Okay? What's the absolute causality? That is a situation where the cause is necessary and sufficient to bring about the effect. The cause is necessary and sufficient. You need the cause to bring about the effect, and then it's sufficient. If it has a cause, the effects will not happen. Okay, that's called absolute causality. Okay? The second situation is we call conditional causality. That is, the cause is necessary but not sufficient to bring about an effect. That's called conditional causality. In the situation of contributory causality, a cause needs to be neither necessary nor sufficient to bring about the effect. We call that contributory causality. Okay? And that is the contributory causality, of course, is the weakest form of causality. Okay? So just when you establish causalities, you need to realize that the different degrees of causality. Okay? Also, experiments. Sometimes in business, social research, we use experiment. What is experiment? Experiment, it's somewhat similar but different from experiments in natural science. In chemistry lab or physics lab. Okay? In our sense, in business research, experiment is a carefully controlled study in which the researcher manipulates a proposed cause and observe any corresponding change in the proposed effect. Okay, that's experiment. And then there are the experimental variables. Let me give an example of the experiment. Let's see. You go to Las Vegas, you notice that you go to Las Vegas casino. What kind of color do they use in the lobby or in the casino gambling hall? If you remember or if you recall, you have ever been there, right? You see probably hot red, hot, and orange, warm, all those kind of like warm, hot colors, like red, orange, things like that. Have you ever seen a casino hall in cool color, like blue or green? Probably not. Okay, so there's a reason for them to have that color, and also the sound. You hear the constant sound of bling bling bling, like quarters money dropping out of machines, and so somebody's winning big, pumping your blood up. You make you excited, want to gamble, try your luck, right? So, in other words, that's kind of retail establishment, right? Casino hall, right? You have the color of the room and the sound of the room, ambient sound of the room, and temperature, maybe even the temperature of the room that may affect your ability or your willingness to consume or to spend your money. Okay, so you may want to do a study and see, the color of the room of the store and which color make you more likely to spend some money. Okay, now you can do experiment on that. That's a controlled study. And what's the proposed cause of this? Proposed cause in this case could be the color of the store. And what's the effect of the experiment? Store sales. Okay? That experiment. Examples, experiment. So in experiment, there are experimental variables that represent the proposed causes and is controlled by the researcher by manipulating it. Okay, manipulating that, like the color, as I said, that's a variable, right? You can manipulate. Of course, you can paint the experimental room, in such different colors, hot, warm colors, red, orange, yellow, or cold, calm, blue colors. Okay, and there's a term called manipulation or manipulation check. That is, the researcher alters the level of the variable in specific increments. Okay, that says, for example, I want to change the color from, say, dark blue to light blue to maybe white, near white, and then to light red, a dark red, deep red, from this different level for color, right? From cold to warm colors. Right? That's called the manipulation. You change the level of variables in in specific increments to test for different outcomes. Okay, that's manipulation. Okay. Let me give you an example here for the causes testing for causes with experimental manipulation. Let's see you want to see the Meeboard cells by different conditions, Meeboard cells. Okay, and that's you can set the experiment at different places, different cities, and try at different prices. Right? At a low price level, you charge, say, $200 per each. Right? You can sell them through a specialty distribution store, like this, for example, is Best Buy, right? In Peoria, Illinois, right? Sell them at Best Buy for $200. Okay, a low price, 200. Or you can try general distribution, right? In the Big Cheap Mart in St. Louis, Missouri, $200. Specialty distribution or general distribution, okay? Low price. Or you can go to high price, use special distribution in general, right? Charge $500 at Des Moines, Iowa, Best Buy for $500, or in this Kansas City, Missouri, for Big Cheap Mart at $500. You see, you are manipulating the level of the or type of distribution. There's one level of a kind of different, one level of one aspect of the experimental condition, and also by alternating, changing the price levels. Okay, With 2 levels of price and 2 type of distribution, you have 4 scenarios, 2 by 2, to test, to conduct the experiment. Uncertainty influences the type of research. The amount of uncertainty does much to determine the most appropriate type and amount of research needed. As you can see, you have a lot of uncertainty, you don't need that much of research, right? And if there's no uncertainty, you can do a simpler type of research. Each type of research produces a different type of result. Okay, let's see example here. Exploratory research, descriptive research, and causal. Okay, the amount of uncertainty in exploratory is highly ambiguous, a lot of uncertainty, right? In causal research, it's clearly defined because you already know what's causing that. You just want to make sure test for that. In descriptive, it's partially defined. As the research statement in exploratory, we call the research question, and the research question is descriptive. In causal, we cut the research. You can be more specific, very clearly cut, and definitive. It's called the research hypothesis. Okay? When to conduct research, exploratory, you do the early stage, and descriptive in later stage, and also causal in later stage. Okay? Later stage in causal. And usual research approach in exploratory is unstructured because you don't know what's gonna get. Okay, and in descriptive you already have certain amount of information about that. Right? It's a structured research, and the causal is highly structured. You know exactly what you want to test. Okay? This is an example of exploratory. Our sales are declining for no apparent reason. What kind of new products are fast food customers interested in? Because we don't know what's going on for the decline in sales. And you need to do exploratory research. In descriptive research, what kind of people patronize our stores compared to our primary competitor? What product features are most important to our customers? Right? You already know, the reason. Somewhat about the reason, and you want to find more. In the causal research, you may ask questions like this: will consumers buy more product in a blue package? Which of the 2 advertising campaigns will be more effective? You already know the packaging may have an impact. You want to find that out, right? And also, the different type of advertising campaign may have different effects. Okay, so in exploratory, the nature of results is discovery oriented, and this one in descriptive can be confirmatory, and this one is definitely confirmatory oriented. Okay, stages in the research process. Yeah. In market research, these are the stages that you need to go through. Okay, oh, sorry about that. I cannot go back. Okay. Oh, it's actually here. It's the same. Yeah. You start out with defining research objectives. Okay, these are define research objectives, and then you design your research. Right, and then you find your sample. The sample will get to that. Right, then you collect your data. Okay, after you collect your data, you do your analysis, and then you draw conclusions and report it. For your class, for your project, group project, you need to do all of this. Yeah, you need to take the entire process. I'll guide you throughout the semester. You're going to define your objective. You need to design your research. That part is already predetermined. You're going to do a survey research, okay? And you can talk about sampling, data collection, analysis, and reporting. Okay? So this is the flow chart of market research process. You define the objective, right? And you select your exploratory research technique. You can use secondary data, historical data. You can use the previous research. You can use the experience survey. You can use case study, and then you identify a problem, define that problem definition, then you have your research objective stated, okay? And then you select your basic research method. It could be survey, experiment, secondary data study, or observation. Okay? For your school project, you can do survey. Okay? And more importantly, more specifically, you can do a questionnaire survey. Okay? From that, you go to select a sample. You can choose a probability sample or non-probability sample. We talk about this as we go. You collect your data through your field work, okay? And you edit and code your data, okay? And you use data processing and analysis, okay? You interpret your finding, and you can write a report, okay? That's what you can do, okay? First, define your research objective. Basically, that's the goal to be achieved by conducting research. Why do you want to conduct research? What kind of goals do you want to achieve? Okay? And there's a term in consulting that they use that to describe the objective to a client. They call it the deliverables. Okay? Research deliverables. Okay? And there are key elements of a research proposal. Okay? And you have a summary of the managerial decision situation, research objective and deliverables, and basic description of the research process, and that's the key element of the research proposal. Exploratory research helps researchers discover and define the decision themselves. Okay? That includes techniques for obtaining insights and gaining clearer idea of the problem. Right? You can use previous research, someone else's research, you want to study that. Pilot studies is a small scale separate study before you commit to a large scale, full scale study. Okay? You can use case studies, just a case, just a company, a situation, a case to study to help you understand. You can use experience surveys and that. Previous research, you should check for reports of previous research within the company archives. If the company already had that, you should use that. And you need to do a literature review, direct research of published works. Okay? And reports may discuss theories or present empirical results relevant to the research your research objectives. You don't have to reinvent wheels. Okay? Pilot study basically is a small scale research project, as I said, that collect data from respondents similar to those to be used in the full study. Okay? Small scale, similar sample. Okay? Pre-test. The small-scale study whose results are preliminary, only intended to assist in the design of a subsequent study, a pre-test. Okay? Focus group. You can use a focus group. There's a small group discussion about some research topic by a moderator who guide the discussion among the participants. Okay? That's called a focus group study. Stating your research objective. Research objectives must be stated formally. Okay? You need to delineate the type of research needed. You indicate what intelligence may result. And your research objectives drives the rest of the research process. You need to keep that in mind. Okay? Sometimes research can lead to the discovery of the theory, a theory. What's a theory? A theory is a formal logical explanation of some events that includes predictions of how things relate to one another. It's a theory. Okay? The logical is a logical explanation that helps researchers know what variables need to be included in the study, how the variables may relate to one another in the theory. And then there's a hypothesis. Hypothesis, you're comparing a hypothetical proposition, that is, a hypothesis, against reality using data. You test that, right? You want to find the correlation between the data and the hypothesis. For example, the hypothesis is supported or is not supported. You use data to find out about that. Okay? So hypothesis is a statement, formal statement derived from a theory explaining some specific outcome. Okay? Empirical testing is comparing a hypothetical proposition, a hypothesis, against realities using data. Okay? Here are the examples of decision statement, relevant theory, research objective, and hypothesis. I'm gonna let you read it. I'm gonna let you look at together. Right? For example, in what ways can we improve our service quality? That's a decision statement, right? Relevant theory, you can use atmospheric theory, stimulus organism response theory, etc. Yeah, that's a theory you want to use, right? Your research objective here is determine how much the physical environment influences consumer perception of service quality. And the hypothesis here is that positive emotions that consumers report in response to environment are related positively to service quality perceptions. That's hypothesis you can test. Okay? Planning the research. Okay? Planning the research design. Yeah. Basically, the method research design is the methods and procedures for collecting and analyzing needed information. It provides a framework or plan of action for your research. Okay? In the planning of research design, you select your basic research method, be it a survey, experiment, secondary, etc. Okay? The selection of basic research method, survey is one method that's used very often, most common, and you can use that for your group project. Okay? Survey basically is a research technique in which a sample is interviewed in some form or the behavior of respondents is observed and described. Okay? A sample in this survey research, we survey some respondents, right? That a sample is interviewed, a person is interviewed in some form, or the behavior of somebody, a respondent, is observed and described. This is survey research. You heard about the term mystery shoppers? The mystery shoppers are the ones that act like customers while observing and recording data. Planning a sample. How to plan sample? That involves sampling. Right? Sampling involves any procedure that draws conclusions based on the measurements of a portion of the population. Why do you want to use sample? Because it's almost impossible to survey the entire population. Yeah? Of course, the U.S. government does one thing. That's the survey on the entire population. We call that the census, right? But it requires lots of manpower and resource and time to do that. Right? We have a census bureau to do that. Right? Do that every 10 years. For companies, businesses, it's impossible for you to do, like U.S. consumers, for example, the entire population. That's why we do sample. Okay? We draw a conclusion based on measurement of a portion of U.S. population. And don't worry, the sample could be sampling a sample, conclusion drawn from a sample could be quite accurate. Okay? Sampling decisions that you need to make, who to sample, That's your target population. Okay? What size should the sample be? How big is big enough? Of course, the bigger, the better. But the bigger, the more time consuming and more difficult, right? And how big is enough? Normally, for practical reasons, for this group project, this class group project, I need you to have about 200. Since it's an online class, maybe 100. We'll see how many you can get. Okay, how many responses you can get. How to select sampling? How to select a sample? Right? You want to use random sampling or cluster sample? We'll get to that. Okay. Collecting data, you can use unobtrusive methods. That's method research respondents do not have to be disturbed, right, for data to be gathered. You do not want, if they are not disturbed, right, that's unobtrusive method. It's important to do that, right? Editing and coding. Editing involves checking the data collection forms for omission, legibility, and consistency in classification. Coding means the rule for interpreting, categorizing, recording, and transforming data to data storage media. You may have your questionnaire, survey questionnaire in text format. We need to turn that into codes, into numbers, and then turn that into a computer, so we can use computer software to analyze it. Okay? And analyzing data and drawing conclusions. Data analysis, basically application of reasoning to understand the data that have been gathered, and then you draw a conclusion. The conclusions are determined from data analysis, speak directly to the research questions, and are presented in a formal report and or in oral or electronic presentations. Okay. Research program and study. What's a research project? What do you do is a research project, right? It's a single study that addresses one or small number of research objectives. Okay? It uses specific technique for solving one-dimensional problems. For example, as identifying market segments. Okay? And a research program, on the other hand, is numerous related studies that come together to address multiple related research objectives. Okay? You conduct a series of projects that may make up a complete research program. Okay. Okay. I think that's all. I have one more thing here. For your group project, I already put you into groups, right? These are the things that you need to do. Okay. And for now, I need your group to work. I need your group to get together. I need to get together and choose an industry or business or company to work for, right? And try to identify some problem there, a problem or a business decision issue where you can do some research to try to help make that decision or solve that problem. Okay, that's what I want you to work on as group on your group project. Okay, and as we go in the semester, I need to do more and more of the rest. Okay, I think that's all I have for today for the chapter. Thank you. I will see you next time.